Paul from CW Products, who's going to talk about solar-powered shutters and bushfire ratings on other shutters and other products that they do. I'm trying to influence the meetings a bit with some local producers or manufacturers, and we've got some really good talent in South Australia, and Paul represents one of those companies. So we'll throw on to Paul, and then we'll go to Ozzy, who's going to talk about our new infrared camera, which the branch has just purchased. So if you're a member, you're eligible to borrow or hire the infrared camera, and we've got some rates on that. So you can go and do some thermal imaging of your house and look at how well it's performing. So Ozzy will show you that. It's really quite useful, which is why I bought it. All right, over to you, Paul.
I don't quite know where to stand. Where am I supposed to stand and see? Wherever. All right. In that case, I'm going to be looking over my shoulder a little bit to see where I am. So I do apologise for that. Thank you, Steve. I lost you. There you go. Thank you for that, and Alan, thank you for the invite to talk tonight. I'm going to start pretty much into the presentation, and we'll get to who we are and what we are in a minute. But one of the things that we as a company are very mindful of is that our product, through the gentleman that started our business, Dr. Ibrahim Al-Assad, is very much aware of where roller shutters fit as a building product, as a window insulation product in the marketplace. So from our point of view, the more people like you that we can have thinking about roller shutters when you're designing, building, making suggestions for homes, the better. We could certainly get out there in the shopping centre, and I dare say you've all seen them with their little A-frames and a little leaflet, and they can chase you down the shopping mall and pretty much guarantee that you're going to be driven into buying shutters whether you need them or not, because you suddenly feel that you should have them, and they give you a 40, 50, 60% discount and you reckon you've got a good deal. We don't subscribe to that way of promoting or selling products. It's something that we find a little bit we've got lots of horror stories which I can share, but we're elderly women, some households have paid extraordinary amounts of money for roller shutters. I became aware of a house the other day that paid $45,000 for some shutters, and I can guarantee you that the total job, when my customer found out, wouldn't have charged them 20. So there are those horror stories out there, which is really sad, because it makes our business and gives our business a really, really bad name. So we're trying to, as a business, we're trying to make people think this way about roller shutters, not the other way, and certainly not that high pressure selling process. So by way of I guess inviting some thought processes, homes started out looking something like this and evolved to something like this, and then more recently we have bigger verandas and all that sort of stuff, but you also end up with smaller blocks as well. So there's an awful lot of homes that are being built today that to be honest don't have much more of a veranda than that thing, and that means that for all the good work you do in designing homes that are thermally or more thermally efficient, suddenly you've got all this sun beating down on them. And whilst the walls might keep a bit of it out, the windows certainly don't do a whole lot necessarily. So that's where we figure we sort of fit in. Shutters have been around for a very long time, and you would have all seen shutters that look something like this, throughout Europe particularly. Europe is undoubtedly the home of shutters. We've all seen them in movies, we might have been and seen them personally, but they're everywhere. And what they have found over the years is that initially they were designed to perhaps a little bit of privacy, maybe a little bit of keeping the cold out. There's a whole bunch of other things that ended up happening. It kept the cold out, it kept the heat out, or heat in, warmth in. They protect you from storms, light and UV, noise, privacy, comfort, rain. So they started to have a whole lot of different functionalities and real reasons for people to actually install shutters. And as I said, they started the old louver shutter and sort of moved into more of that, and then you can see in that far side there's actually a roller shutter in there. So before we go anywhere, who has roller shutters on their home? 1, 2, 3. Cool. I like you 3 gentlemen already. Well played. Why? Why do you have roller shutters on your home?
Keep the heat in and drop it out.
Okay, cool. I like that. Yep.
Heat and cold, but also security, so you can actually crack your windows open, put them down, and get gully breezes through.
Yep.
In my case, they are the window treatments. We have window treatments on the outside of our house rather than on the inside. Intrinsic to the design of the place.
Nice. I might want to come and see your house. That might be a house.
It'll be quite easy because on the Murray Bridge.
Oh, beautiful. All right, I might organise that after this. That's great. So those three reasons there are the reasons that we try and promote roller shutters. Absolutely. In terms of,
The heat in, I mean, shouldn't you have the shutters internally to the windows rather than externally?
No. I mean, no. Because
Then to keep the heat out, have it on the externals.
yeah, but the heat that travels from the inside is not as aggressive as the heat that comes from the outside. The heat that's on the inside, you don't have it at 45 degrees on the inside of your home, do you? No. But
Maybe -2 on the outside.
yeah, and that so.
Big differential.
Yeah, but you've got a barrier of air in between the window and the shutter that actually reduces that as well. So there is that side of it as well. But the warmth you're trying to keep on the inside is only maximum maybe 25 degrees, whereas the heat you're trying to keep out is anything up to 40, 50 degrees. You know, in some parts of Australia it's a lot of heat, and it works and works very, very effectively at keeping that heat out. So it does make a big difference, most definitely. Have any of you, and look, I'm not 100% sure what jobs, what businesses you own, but have any of you recommended them or specified them for buildings that you're actually doing or thought about it? No. So that's the challenge for us, is to get you guys to actually think about them differently. Is there any reason you haven't? I can probably suggest one reason that all of you haven't, because they're ugly. Right? You're all into designing nice looking homes, right? And the gentleman at the back corner's got a different view, and I love him already. But I dare say it's because they're ugly. So that's our other challenge. One is to teach you guys what they can do and that they actually do deliver on our promise. And the other one is to show you that roller shutters aren't necessarily ugly. Anything's ugly if you look at it the wrong way. But if you present it properly, it certainly changes in the way it looks. All right, so who are we? We are a company that was started by Dr. Ibrahim El-Assad. His son Danny is now coming along in the fold. Ibrahim is a gentleman that in the 1980s was in France and spent 10 years in France as part of that, 70s and 80s, part of that first group of people that looked at solar energy and putting solar panels seriously on buildings to understand how solar could actually replace the way we generated energy. One of the first things he was asked to do was to investigate what roller shutters did on homes. Okay? Because obviously the less energy that a home consumed, the less energy you would need to produce through your solar panels, so therefore you had a nice little cascading effect of less energy required, less energy needing to be produced. Out of that study, Ibrahim found categorically that roller shutters had an absolutely huge benefit on reducing the energy consumption of homes. A few years later, he moved to Australia, and oddly enough, the first thing he noticed about Australian homes, we don't have shutters. And he went, but this has got to be one of the hottest places on the planet and we don't have shutters. What's going on? Let's understand the market, let's understand where it goes. And he went through the process, and he spent the last 30 odd years understanding the market, developing our product range and introducing roller shutters as a key part of what we believe we should be doing in the Australian building market. As part of that process, when he came, there was nothing in Australia from a roller shutter point of view. They weren't even here. So he was one of the first people that started to import roller shutters from Germany, Germany being the inventors of roller shutters. We have a long-standing relationship still with a company called Herol that still manufacture roller shutters, or roller shutter profile and roller shutters in Europe. In the process, we now manufacture our own, as Steve alluded to, in Murray Bridge. And we've also partnered with a company called Simu, who manufacture tubular motors in France, and we still have that long-standing relationship. So we've got relationships with the two inventors of both roller shutters and tubular motors that go back almost 30 years. We are proud and very proudly Australian. We use the word leading, even though our two major competitors are both bigger than us. And we say we're leading because we keep looking for ways to do things differently, and we keep looking for ways to engage with people like yourselves who we think should be more involved in the roller shutter market. We also have a couple of, we've got 3 engineers on board that basically are constantly challenging what we do each and every day as far as what's next in the marketplace, what else can we do, what else is there for us to help reduce our carbon footprint, to produce a better quality product, and basically just keep finding ways to engage with the marketplace, both at the retail end, but then also working with people like yourselves. So a statistic, now you guys can correct me on this one, because I'm sure a couple of you have already done the maths already, but one of the reports that we've read in this whole process is that buildings alone account for more than 43% of total energy consumption and 36% of CO2 emissions. So from our point of view, you know, like they're numbers and everything that get thrown around the media ad hoc every day of the week, and to the great majority of the population they mean 2 parts are not very much at all. From our point of view, it's all about the cooler we keep the home in the middle of summer, the warmer we keep it in the middle of the winter by using roller shutters, the less time we turn air conditioners on, heaters on, etc., etc. We actually play a part in reducing that energy consumption. And as you would all very well know, it is possible to reduce all of that by doing things by simply the way you cover your windows, and then by the types of gardens you build around your home and the way you interact with that environment as well. So we're not trying to reinvent anything, we're just trying to help people understand that roller shutters have a very real part to play in all of this. All of our studies, unfortunately, come out of Europe. Nobody in Australia has bothered to actually do too many studies or do any studies on roller shutters, and I got very excited when I saw your little thermal imaging camera, because I can see lots of uses for that. So I'm more than happy to, you know, and seriously, I'm more than happy to talk to someone about putting some roller shutters on a home at the right price to actually start the process of understanding what all this is about. We're about engaging you guys as much as the other way around, because unless we start to find and meet some ground in the middle and find some common ground, it's going to be hard. One of the key things that we talk about, and I went to France a couple of years ago to spend some time with our tubular motor manufacturer, and one of the things that they talk about over there, which will come through in the presentation in a minute, is that we are away from our home for up to 250 days of the year. Okay, now that's the daylight hours, and that's, from the European perspective, that is prime time to take advantage of the sun, either keeping it out or letting it in the middle of winter, depending which way around you want to be for that particular season. And so for Simu, when they start talking about the days you're away, that's when they start to talk about automation and all those sorts of things, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay, so out of some of the studies that we've done, or not we've done, but some of our other partners in Europe have done, pretty much properly managed roller shutters can provide up to 9% natural reduction in indoor temperature. Now that's from a European study. I have had more than one Australian customer tell me that it keeps their home up to 15 degrees cooler. It's particularly effective for people like shift workers who suddenly want to sleep during the middle of the day, who, this product is quite popular in a lot of those regional areas of Australia where they do sleep during the day. We had a customer or a homeowner come back to us through a customer and say, you have, in the last quarter, it was 25%, my energy bill, power bill was 25% less than the quarter before, because I don't need the air conditioner on during the day anymore. I used to have it on just to knock the temperature off. All right, now I go to bed. He said, not only does it save me energy, but I get a better sleep because there's no more noise and there's no light leakage. So a double benefit on top of a double benefit, which he didn't buy. He only bought it to try and keep his house a little bit cooler, and he's found all these other benefits. So it does make a big difference in the middle of summer. In the middle of winter, a 1 degree increase in heating can result in a 7% increase in heating costs. Now those numbers will change and will keep on changing as energy charges go up. I dare say, and if there's anyone in here who can confirm or otherwise, but I dare say it's probably the flip side of that in summer, where a 1 degree decrease in temperature probably equals a 7% increase in cooling costs as well. Because I dare say the energy costs about the same. I don't know if you consume the same amount of energy creating cool as heat, but I dare say it's probably somewhere in there. What we do talk about on from there is how we use the sun. Okay, so on one hand we're trying to keep the sun out in the middle of summer, but in the middle of winter we can actually look at how we use the sun and trap it inside. Basically, roller shutters work by repelling the heat. Now there's a lot of myths out there about the foam in the profile, etc., as being the insulator. The great majority of heat that the roller shutter keeps out is actually reflected off the profiles. Hence its curve, hence its paint finish. All our profiles are made with 2 layers of paint, or 2 coats of paint and a layer of clear lacquer, which helps make the profile very, very resilient, and it is a UV resistant profile that we guarantee for 5 years, and it keeps running way beyond that. When you start talking about inside, you know, obviously the heat comes back off the window and you have that layer of air in there which helps keep everything cool as well. Did you have a question on that? No? If you've got a question on the way through, feel free to, by the way. So, a very crude schematic of what we're trying to do. Okay, roller shutters closed in the middle of the day to keep the heat out. Okay, so obviously you've got the heat bouncing off everything. All of this works, and only works, if you've got a properly insulated home. You know, if you've got a galvanised iron roof with no ceiling and you expect the roller shutters to keep your home 10 to 15 degrees cooler, it isn't going to happen. Okay, so the idea is that you have your roller shutters closed during the day, and then at night time you open them up. Okay, and I'll show you some photos in a minute of how you can use the shutters to be open, but obviously you take advantage of the environment and the climate that's around you. If it's stinking hot and it's not worth opening, you know, it's hotter outside than inside, then obviously you don't open your house up. But that's an opportunity. Then in winter, we look to do the opposite. Okay, so in the middle of, you know, be the morning or the afternoon, let the sun in, let it come into your home. Okay, and then in the afternoon, close that shutter off so that the heat doesn't escape out. Okay, that can be done using automatic shutters. If you're at home, you can obviously do that, but actually use the sun and warm your home. People that customers of ours that have done this say that they, you know, don't turn their heaters on anywhere as much as they used to, because they've got used to the idea that let's trap that cell of warm air in your home that ordinarily you would have walked out the door in the morning and it would have followed you because it would have escaped through your house. But you're not at home during the day, so why have your house open when you can actually trap that parcel of air in? And then at night time, you obviously circulate that warm air. Okay, warm the house up and make things very comfortable. A couple of years ago, we were at an event called the BMAA, which is Blind Manufacturers Association of Australia, and just to show that we are actually committed to what we're talking about tonight, that we actually want to show people, you know, and highlight to our customers this opportunity. We are actually out there preaching it, not only at events like this, but to everybody and anybody that wants to be part of the roller shutter industry. Now, somebody asked about the perforations in the profile a minute ago. These are roller shutters looking from the inside out. Now, I said earlier that, you know, one of the things that we are very much trying to do is change the way people look at roller shutters. Okay? You don't sit on the front veranda and look at your roller shutter and go, hey, that's a really nice looking roller shutter. Okay, you're inside, you're trying to live with it, you're trying to do this sort of thing. So by opening the shutters up, by using the perforations, you can actually, that door is actually open. So this particular house is stopping the majority of the sunshine come in, but it's letting some air in. Okay, and again you can see where it is there, half open and perforations. So you can really start to control the amount of light and the type of light that's in your home. In terms of what we do, we manufacture and produce a whole range of different products, and I'm not going to go through them all tonight because I'd be here very late and I don't reckon you want to stay that late necessarily. We have these two profiles here. We manufacture and produce in Murray Bridge as from raw materials. That probably it accounts for probably 70% of our business, thereabouts. It's the standard profile that you would put on your house, and I dare say that the ones you've got at Murray Bridge and the ones you've got on your homes would be of a similar type to that, give or take a bit. We then also have our extruded profile. That is one that we have extruded for us. We don't have an extruder. Our 36mm profile is our Firesafe profile. It is also our Cyclone Safe profile. It's a very versatile profile and widely used for a whole range of different uses. We then also have some unique products to CW products. SolarSmart, Fire and PowerSmart are unique to CW products. You won't be able to buy them from anyone else other than a customer of ours. And then similarly, the tubular motors that we use and all of that is very much along the lines of, it's got a 62-year history, it's made in France, it's a very, very, very reliable product. This is the type of uses that you can have for the roll-formed product. One of the things that you mentioned was that roller shutters are a security product. We actually don't use the word security very often in our roller shutter, any roller shutter presentation, because the notion of security is very much a personal thing. Okay, for an 85-year-old lady living in a back street, security just might be the fact that she can shut some shutters and the whole world's blocked out. For other people, they might want to try and stop ram raids. This product, none of these products will stop ram raids. Okay, so it's very much a personal thing as to what does security mean to any given individual. It has a wide range of uses within that. The servery over there could have a roller shutter on it just so that it can be closed down and stop people just jumping over and helping themselves to some coke out of the fridge or something like that. If the crown jewels is on the other side, I wouldn't use this profile. All right, very easy to get through if you wish to. Again, some more photos of what roller shutters look from the inside looking out. You will notice that with a great majority of everything that we present roller shutters looking from the inside out, because we all know what they look like from the outside in. It's about how you can live with them on the inside and how you can do those sorts of things. Our 36mm profile, as I said, is our most versatile one. If any of you live anywhere near the Summit and Surf Lifesaving Club, this is the Summit and Surf Lifesaving Club. These are effectively cyclone safe roller shutters. They live on the top of the cliff, small Adelaide cliff. They cop a battering when the storms blow up from the southwest. They've been up for 12 months. The surf club loves them, and they work really, really well. This product here is what we call our 50mm vision, and that is what it looks like when it's totally closed. Okay, it is a fully perforated profile that is always perforated, so you can't actually close it off and block things out. It's used primarily for two things. One is, I'm going to use the word that I tell you we don't use much, but low-level security in shopping malls, where the shop owner would like people to still be able to see through, the security guards when they're walking down the mall to see through. It's a very heavy profile and it does get used for that kind of that barrier. In this particular case, this is a job on the Gold Coast in Queensland, and they have used it as a hail preventer. Okay, so they're in a corridor where they get lots of hailstorms ripped through the corridor that they're in, and they got sick and tired of the hailstones damaging their windows, so they went and put some of these on, which, as you can see, allows them to have good light and still be able to see out and protect their windows. As I said, the Firesafe, Cyclone Safe job, this profile will go out 5 metres wide. So we start to talk some fairly serious commercial sized windows or openings. It can be used for doors and garages, etc. As I said, it is our Cyclone Safe product, so it's all our Cyclone's product has been certified by James Cook University and passed all the relevant tests up to Category 5 Cyclone. So if any of you are doing any work in the Pilbara and would like some Category 5 rated Cyclone shutters, we can do it for you. This is the surf club, so again you get a bit of a better view of where it's located, the doors that are there. Oops, why didn't it work? Okay, so again a larger shutter, and you notice that it had a removable mullion in it. Go back and come forward. So notice the removable mullion disappears. Okay, so that's this kind of thing that we can do with you in consultation with whoever it is that you're building for. A couple of products on there which I'll get to in a minute, Firesafe and SolarSmart. Okay, now I know Firesafe was a product that Alan was keen for me to have a bit of a chinwag about. We were the first company after the horrific fires in Victoria back in 2009, I think it was, that developed Firesafe shutters. For any of you that know anything about it, there are 5 categories within the BAL ratings, Bushfire Attack Level ratings. A40 is the second highest, with FZ being the highest. The only difference between an A40 rating and an FZ rating is the length of time that the shutter actually needs to withstand a 40 kilowatts worth of heat put onto it in a test area. The A40 is a bushfire rating, where basically as the bushfire and the radiant heat rips through, that is the amount of time. So it's 2 to 3, 4 minutes worth of that 40 kilowatts worth of heat, whereas an FZ rating is basically that 40 kilowatts worth of heat, and I liken it to basically the big gum tree out the front's fallen on the front door and it's got to survive that for an hour. Gets to that point, I dare say there's probably not going to be a lot of the home left anyway, because it's probably not very good or very healthy. Okay. One of the things that we are real sticklers on is doing things properly, so that, because we don't retail it, so that our retail customers can go out there and promote it properly. We have lots of competitors out in the marketplace, but this section here talks about what bushfire rated roller shutters has to do in order to be compliant with that standard. The one thing that is an absolute must in here is be manually operable from either the inside or the outside, which basically means that you have to be able to either use a handle, as in this. Now, this is the demo model only. You wouldn't have that hanging on the outside of the house, all right? So please understand that would normally be on the inside. That's a manual override option. So with 240 volt power, we all know that electricity is the first thing that goes in the event of, or the likely event of, a bushfire. So you might get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and find you've got no electricity if you live in the bushfire area, because the authorities have already turned the power off. Okay, so in that event, you then do need either a manual override system for your 240 volt electric roller shutters, or you need to have manual roller shutters. Okay, so we can do either, but we are, as I said, we are dead set sticklers for making sure that people understand that if they want to comply, and if they've been told, if they've gone to the council, got council approval to build their home, and they then want to put roller shutters on it, they will tell you that it has to be readily manually operable from either the inside or the outside. Okay. Doing that and building to that specification, we will then provide you with a certification plate, which is put on the bottom bar, as you can see there, which actually shows the homeowner that it's actually been done and been done properly, not by somebody else, and so it's made all our relevant componentry. Another product, which is not to be confused with the Firesafe, is Sensifier. Now, a lot of people, particularly elderly people, get concerned that when they put a roller shutter down, how do you get out of a house? This product is, as you can see, there's a smoke alarm, and then there is what we call our Sensifier unit. That Sensifier is an audio product that listens to the smoke alarm. When the smoke alarm goes off, all the shutters in the house are activated by this, and they all automatically go up. So within those first few seconds of the smoke alarm going off and you waking up and realising that there is a fire and you need to do something, all of the shutters in your home will have gone up. We recommend that you have one Sensifier per smoke alarm, and you have every single shutter in the house programmed to each Sensifier, so that if one goes off, every shutter will go up. That is an exclusive product to CW Products, and the other thing I need to say on that is it's 12 volt. So obviously it doesn't rely on 240 volt electricity. It has 2 little AA batteries inside it, and we recommend that you change it over every time you change the smoke alarm.
Could that also happen if you're under bushfire attack and some smoke on one floor of the house?
It can. The only problem with that one at the moment is that the only way to make that happen is, actually I'll go into this, is that it needs to be a 12 volt system to work, and there is no manual override 12 volt system. So we're in the process of putting some presentations together so we can go to the relevant authorities and say, look, if the power does go out, the 12 volt system will not be out, but because it's not manually operable, it doesn't comply. But the simple answer to your question is yes, we can, and yes, we have done it. So we have put, I know there's a house in Sydney that has put a smoke alarm on the outside of their home. We have reverse wired the sensifier so that we'll actually send them down, not up, and he's a very happy man. He chose to do that as opposed to him being told by the local authorities he had to have Firesafe shutters. So he's done it all, he's done it properly. It's a Firesafe compliant product and it's 36mm. It just doesn't meet the specifications of being manually operable from either the inside or the outside. But yeah, it can be done. The next product that we have, and I know Steve mentioned this in his introduction, was solar powered roller shutters. Ibrahim, with his passion for solar, probably 20-25 years ago, developed solar power. It was a bit of a Dick Smith's electronics kit where some interesting looking solar panels as we know them today. Many of those systems are still working today, right? So it was a very crude, very large, cumbersome unit, but it still is and works as it is today. The solar system we've got, and I'll show you a slide in a minute, but basically this down here is a solar powered roller shutter, so you can see the solar panels sitting on top of there. They need a minimum of half a day sunshine each and every day, right? That's the spec that we put out, knowing that people will crib on that and they won't always do that. So that's the spec we put on it. It's also a system that's available to operate your awnings on the outside of your homes that go up and down on patios and all those sorts of things. From an installer's point of view, the real key to this is that it's 12 volt electricity. You don't need an electrician to do it. You can do it yourself. The installers can do it. Providing they've got some way of determining where north is so that they don't put the solar panel on the south facing wall, they will be fine. This is basically what the inside of a SolarSmart looks like. So it's a tubular battery, there's a tubular motor that runs down there, there's a receiver in there, and then a solar panel on the roof. And then that's the types of remote control that we use. It will lift up to 50 kilos, so we're talking some fairly heavy shutters that we can lift with it all, and it's a very robust system. We've had it in operation for, it's in its 6th year as we speak, and to date it hasn't really failed anyone anywhere. We've had some interesting installations where they put solar panels facing southeast under rather large trees and then complain that it doesn't work, whilst the other shutters on the other side of the house work perfectly fine, and they have some difficulties understanding that the two things might be related. But shutters installed properly, and probably the greatest testimonial I can give on this one is that we launched this product in 2010. It had been running for about 12-18 months prior to that as a test product. Down in Tasmania, there's a little Tasman Peninsula on the eastern side of Hobart. On the bottom end of that is a home that has got 3 effectively 2 metre by 2 metre SolarSmart shutters. Those 3 shutters have been operating every day since November 2010. The solar panels are installed on the northern side of the roof. The panels can be put anything up to about 30 metres from where the actual roller shutter is, or the power pack is located. So it's a low voltage triple charge system that works and works really well. And as I said, that testimony of what we did in Tassie and with Martin has worked exceptionally well. So when people tell me they've got a problem with SolarSmart, I say, well, yeah, okay, but I've got this system that works. What have we done? Let's go and understand the system and how it's actually working.
What's the life of your rechargeable batteries?
when we launched in 2010, we are yet to start going through the cycle of dead batteries. Our expectation, when we launched, we went with a 12-month warranty because we didn't know. We are going to come up to 5 years from the launch in the middle of this year. We are yet to get any of those batteries back because they died. Ibrahim's belief, and you can edit this a little bit, is about 10 years. He expects the battery to be good for somewhere between 5 and 10 years. So we haven't got to the 5-year mark yet, but we'll find out from about the middle of this year. We'll have reached his hope, and then we'll be out into his, reached his expectation, and then we'll be out into his hope zone of, what can it do, where can it go. But, we've got thousands of units out there now, and it doesn't fail. Put the solar panel in the right spot, get the right amount of energy on a daily basis into the trickle charge battery. The battery will last somewhere between 3 to 5 weeks worth of normal operation. So that means if we get some of those inclement days that we oddly get in South Australia, but particularly in Victoria, Tassie, etc., there's enough charge in the battery to get you through. You get 2 half days worth of decent sunshine on it, and the battery will be fully recharged again. So it is a very, very much low consumption, very robust system that even if you do get into that situation where the weather is really, really inclement, you might be in a really bad spot, we do have bigger solar panels you can offer as well. So we can double the charge if you need to.
What protection against overcharging?
There's some software that's built into the receiver. So this little guy in here, we call it a receiver, it's actually a control board. So within that there is 2 lots of software, one to prevent it from overcharging and 2 to prevent it from supplying the motor with too low a voltage and therefore too higher amperage. So that's some bits of software that Ibrahim's had built into that to protect it. So it will never end up with more than about 13.5 volts in the battery, and the whole system will never work if there's less than about 11.5 volts in the battery to protect it all. So, and as you can see, there's some more awnings that have been used out there. I'll just really quickly go through what the Simu range of stuff can do. And we talked about automation before and how we use it. I showed this photo here of the outside because you might be able to see there's a couple of solar panels on the roof. So you can see how small they are, how inconspicuous they are. They're not great big, like we're used to. That's all it needs. It's a little 1-watt solar panel that just chugs away all day, every day, just recharging the battery. So that's our home down on the Mornings Peninsula, and it's actually quite a neat installation, that particular one. Simu, from our point of view, is a wonderful partner to have. It has an incredible stable of products. There's millions of motors around the world that are used on a daily basis. When we start talking about things like automation, etc., and operating shutters, predetermined timing and all that sort of stuff, these are the guys we turn to. We've got a great relationship with them, as I said. You've got everything from little wall-mounted single-channel remotes, wall-mounted wall transmitters, single-channel remotes, 5 channels, and then into all your timer gear. So you can set the timers, you can set them to go up and down 6 separate operations, and an operation is an up and a down 7 days a week. So 6 operations a day, 7 days a week. So you can almost send Morse code signals to the people on the other side of the hill with how frequently it can work. So you can really set it up. And obviously within that, you talked about security. It becomes a security device then as well, because it's then going up and down when you're not home, and you can have it going up and down at different times on each different day. And just to kind of finish up and talk about how we you start talking about the automation and timing side of it. You can have multiple ways of operating all these things, but you can then have pairs of shutters, groups of shutters going down western side of the house, eastern side of the house, northern side in the middle of winter if you want them up or down. So you can really start to tailor how the shutters are going to work within a given home for that particular area that they live in. That's basically what they all look like. And then just to sort of recap all of that, from our point of view, as I said at the start, being able to talk to a group like you and probably focusing on the first half of the slide in terms of those thermal properties of what the product can deliver is what we're all about, and we deliver all of that out of that. We have a 9,500 square metre factory in Murray Bridge, which you are seriously welcome to. Up there we have a very own roll forming machine that is made specifically for us. We have 2 of those. So if you guys would like to ever come for a tour through there to see what we do and how we do it, open invitation. Individually, Alan's got my contact details. I've got a couple of cards if you're really, really interested, or as a group if you would like to come and see what we do and how we do it. And seeing as you only live around the corner, I'll give you a card and we can sort of look to catch up and go from there. So, any questions? Yes?
Do you make any shutters without the build?
Sorry?
Do you make any shutters without the build?
Yes, yeah, we call that extruded. Okay, that's extruded. So out of the profiles that I showed you then, the only one that isn't without the fill is the one that's all perforated, and that's what we call a single skin. It's actually quite a thick piece of extrusion. It's about 2 millimetres thick, so it's quite a solid product. The 36 millimetre profile is 2 1.1 millimetre thick walls and a hollow straight through the middle. So like any other normal extrusion, it's hollow through the middle. It has no foam in it. The next question someone's going to ask is, how does that compare as a thermal product versus the foam fill? It's not far off, because the hollow through the middle works like a piece of the fill in a double glazed window. That pocket of air has to warm before it will then transfer heat through that as well. So it actually is quite a good thermal product as well. Okay.
I was wondering what the carbon footprint was in the production of, because aluminium is very high value. So what do you know what the...
No, I'm not even going to go and try and go down that track. You're right, there's a lot that goes into producing aluminium, so I guess when we talk about doing that, we're talking more about that. It's with many things that get manufactured on the planet, there's lots of those, balancing of everything anyhow. So, but I don't know what the net sum total of manufacture of a raw aluminium product versus what it saves in this process. I don't know. And that's the first time anyone's asked that, so I guess I'm in the right room to have it asked, aren't I? I might find out. I'll see what I can find out.
Well, I wasn't thinking even versus what it says, but rather, they say a car takes 5 years to embedded energy.
Okay, yep. I've never thought about it from that point of view, but yeah, that's probably a question I can ask of you more, one of our other suppliers, So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer than that. Yep.
Do you have a particular gap between the shutter and the glass? There's lots of them for sound and there's another for heat. Do you take that into consideration when you're measuring them?
Not really, because a lot of the ways that the homes are built, you've basically got the width of a brick. You've got 2 choices of installation. One, you do what we call face fit, which is on the outside of the brick, and the other is a reveal fit. You are restricted with your reveal fit depending on the opening of your opening operation of your window. So obviously if it's a hopper window opening out, you can't go and put your guides on the inside of the brick, because the window will foul on the guide if you do that. So automatically you're then limited to going back out to face fit. More often than not, it's probably about that 90mm mark off the window. Again, it's if you look in Europe, a lot of their windows are built. A lot of their shutters are built into the windows, and they would have quite a small distance off the window. In all the papers I've read, I've not actually seen anyone refer to the optimal distance off the window. But equally, no one's putting them 300mm off the window either. So what I do know is that the less that pocket of air can move, the less it can warm up, and therefore obviously the less heat transfer there is as a consequence of that. So I dare say that there's probably a case of, the narrower the better, but practicalities kick in pretty quickly with the way we build our houses or have built our houses.
Just to follow up on that.
Yep.
So, to stop the air moving, the only way I can see quickly is to put a slab of polystyrene in there. Is there any other way?
Polystyrene where?
In the gap between your shutters and the window.
Oh, no. In terms of the air mass within that, the more it can circulate, the more it will warm up. So
that's my point. To stop it circulating, how would you do it?
Oh, just by having that gap narrower. So if you have, say, 300 mil of, or well, no, that's not 300 mil, 500 mil of space, that air mass will warm up quicker than if it was only 80 or 90 mil, because it's able to move more. Now, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, I'm not any of those sorts of things. I'm only going on the research I've done. So if somebody in here can contradict that and correct me, I'm more than happy to go with that. But talking with Ibrahim, that's what he's shared with me, is that the less air movement there is, the less air is able to move, the less it heats up. So obviously the smaller that gap is, the better. We've had some homes, some mud brick homes with quite thick walls, put shutters on, and they've all put those as close to and they built them in, so they put them quite close to the window. Again, we're probably talking that 30, 40, 50 mil mark that they've put them in there. So there is obviously within those people's mindsets a common sense approach that says, we probably should put them not too far off the window to prevent that from happening.
30 to 40 is about your optimum that you want to go to. The practicalities are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How's the cost of the shutters compare with double glazing?
Very favourably. Very favourably. I was in New Zealand 12, 18 months ago, and New Zealand is, and I was talking to Catherine about it earlier, New Zealand's probably the worst of the white communities to ourselves, probably got the worst housing standards of any of similar places to ourselves. And Catherine and I had a smile on our face about the leakage points they have in those homes. What is big in New Zealand at the moment is double glazing. It's huge. I was there after the Christchurch earthquake, and I was at a home show, and all they were promoting in that home show was double glazing, right, and showing the 3 different lots of double glazing that was available, including the one through to argon gas with infrared lamps underneath to show you how cool it was. And then they were promoting all the polystyrene walls and stuff because they don't crack and fall over and hurt people in earthquakes. From that, we then sat there and went, okay, so if we've got a house with this many windows, what's it going to cost to double glaze versus what's it going to cost for a house full of roller shutters? And roller shutters in that particular exercise came out less than the equivalent of your double glazing. Because there's a bunch of other costs. Now it depends whether you're going to either retrofit or fitting up front, but so it's very favourable. It's certainly not out of court by any stretch of the imagination. So it's something that's an each way, have a conversation with whatever it is you want to achieve and understand that. But roller shutters do compare very favourably.
I know in Germany, one place I know of in Germany has got quite good double glazing on the windows, and that certainly seems to be very effective.
Yep.
But there may be other parts which are using shutters as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, from our point of view, my 2 weeks in New Zealand when I went across, we went across specifically to try and sell roller shutters. Right? We had an inquiry from somebody, and unless we went, we didn't know, and we didn't have a clue. Now, from where we sit in Little Old Adelaide, Little Old Murray Bridge, we went New Zealand, Europe. Awful lot of similarities between the climate and the way they live and all that sort of stuff. Europe, 95% of all homes, all domestic windows have got roller shutters or shutters. New Zealand, none, literally none. We saw a piece of corrugated iron put over a window as a shutter, and that was what they did in the middle of summer and they took it off in the middle of winter. So, from our point of view, it was like, let's go and understand their thinking. Let's understand what they're trying to achieve. And their default position at the moment, because the glazing companies have done a really good job, is to go to double glazing. And almost at the to the point of hanging the expense, let's just do that. So a lot of Europeans that are there, they very much want the roller shutters, and they want that combination of both, because they understand that there are certain windows that work and will work really well with double glazing, and there are others that roller shutter will do a better job for what that particular opening is wanted for.
In our environment here, the north-facing windows are really very effectively shaded by having the roller shutter versus double glazing.
Exactly, and look, we're not sitting here and saying, you know what, double glazing, put it aside because it's a waste of time. We're saying, in our opinion, roller shutters have a place in everything that you're already doing, and in conjunction with a whole bunch of other products, it belongs there. And that's, I think up front I said to Steve, and one of the things we look to do is work with window furnishings businesses. Okay, so businesses that are already in your homes anyway. When you ring up a company and ask for blinds, awnings, whatever else, now we're saying, why not sell roller shutters? Because it's part, as you've just highlighted, it's part of the process. Yeah.
I've had roller shutters here in Australia since the late 70s, early 80s, in which we didn't see we no longer have got any. We are building on the York Peninsula, and we were looking at double glazing and thought if we go in the lower grade and then put the shutters on, that we were told the shutters are not eligible for the energy certification because you can remove them.
You know what? That's probably true. It's probably true because I know in many, not many, but in a number of Firesafe shutter jobs that we've had and had with customers, their customer said, I don't care about anything, I just need to get my certification to live in the home. And I've even had 2 customers tell our customers, no, we're going to rip them off the wall. As soon as we've got certification, they're coming off the wall. Well, okay, I'm not sure what that does to the certification of the property, but we can't make them leave them up there, you know. So again, that comes back to our industry to actually turn around and say to the people that are certifying your home or giving it an energy rating that they actually need to understand that roller shutters are not just some, you know, tin pot, whatever else. Now, there's nothing to say that if you put double glazing in your home and get your energy rating, that when you put a cricket ball through it or whatever else, and go, how it's going to cost me $5 grand to replace that? I just got a single glaze one, or you know, there's nothing to say that anything that you actually do in your home the first time around, you're going to do the second time. If there's a, you know, but you know, yeah, you can take roller shutters off, absolutely, but you know, why would you? If you're thinking roller shutters like you are, and again, it comes back to us to engage that level of this industry to, hey, look, roller shutters is not just a, you know, throwaway product. You're not going to go and spend, you know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 depending on the size of the home and throw it away. And you won't get your money back when you sell it.
The first lot we had came from Italy.
Okay, yeah.
And it was individual because of the storms.
Yep. Yeah. So, you know, that's, again, that's, you know, one of those things that we like to hear, that, you know, you've had them, you would like to have them again, they make sense. And if you want some shutters for your house on York Peninsula, I know someone that can look after you, 2 businesses that can look after you. So that'll be fine. Yes?
We're in 6-day energy rating at the moment. At some stage we're going to hit 7, only 7.
Yep.
Do you see roller shutters becoming, at the moment, the 4, 5, 6 day energy rating, pretty good for insulation largely. And now having a bit of double glazing, we get the numbers we need to get 6-star. Is this a product that will help the next step? I see 7-star starting to get harder to meet and make builders and all this work harder to get to that. Is this part of that would be accepted? I don't know if I'm asking to jump in value.
No, look.
We talk about shaded windows in the summer, all that sort of stuff. Is this part of the process, for instance, to get 7-star, maybe even 6-star, potentially, saying we put these shutters in the window? Is that getting complies? You can take that at the horse water, you can't have a drink. So you put the shutters on, you can't have your own music.
Correct.
I don't know, explain so well, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, look, I understand exactly where you're at, because we're probably at the same place where, you know, we're at whatever energy star rating we're at, and from our point of view, roller shutters haven't even made it onto the discussion table, let alone any further than that. So, you know, given what I've said tonight about the energy efficiency and what it does do, and you know, the people that tell me that their homes are 15 degrees cooler, they don't turn their air conditioner on. So, if they're not turning their air conditioner on, it doesn't matter how efficient your air conditioner on, if you're not turning it on, it uses naught. If you've got a town that's got 5 houses in it and it uses, I don't know, X amount of power, and you then put 100 houses in that and they all still use the same amount as the 5, you're still using that same amount of energy. But if you put roller shutters on all of them and none of them use their air conditioner anymore because they don't have to, because their houses are already cool, then surely that's got a good thing for everything. So, very simplistic view from my point of view, I get that, but again, from our point of view, until we start having that discussion, we're kind of missing something in the scheme of things. And the gentleman up in the back corner, he's put roller shutters on in Murray Bridge, of all places, where it is warm, and I'm assuming you're getting some good benefits out of it already in terms of, yeah. So, you know, whilst I don't have a piece of paper or a certificate or a report that I can say A, B and C, this gentleman here can actually say A, B and C actually is real. And these two people here can say the same thing. What we do need to do to get to that next level is we actually got to get a piece of paper, you know, to actually say A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And, you know, and that's where things perhaps like thermal imaging cameras. I know that other products in our industry have some of the material that actually say they block out X amount of heat. They actually have little displays that they can take into people's homes and show that that beam of light produces 40 degrees worth of heat. You put the material down and it's down to 25, 20 degrees. So it's already being done. As a roller shutter industry, nobody's really driving that necessarily at that level of bureaucracy and or, you know, science or whatever else. And it's something that, you know, we would love to do. But out of the three businesses in Australia, we're, you know, only one of the smaller guys that are trying to lead everything and make it happen.
So really, I must have a bit prejudice to roller shutters, but I think it's a great presentation done, and I only vote for my eyes a bit, but you're actually providing roller shutters as an energy efficient item, way ahead of security items, is really why they were first promoted and they first really there, as I see them. You know, I could be a bit misguided on that. Is that?
No, absolutely. That was how it hit the road running in Australia, because our major, just hang on, rewind. Because roller shutter salespeople are paid by commission only. So the only way they could get paid money was to find a way to tug on the emotional strings as to why you would want to buy a roller shutter. Now, no disrespect to anybody in this room, if I told you that you were going to get 15 degree cooling in your home and it was going to save you $1,000 a year, that's not going to get you across the line. You go, yeah mate, that's a really good idea. But if I turn around and I say to you, it's actually, you're not going to get broken into tonight, and your home will be very safe and secure, and oh mate, you'd hate to get broken into tomorrow, knowing what you know now, you probably should get some shutters on your house. Suddenly that puts a whole different spin on roller shutters. It suddenly becomes, whoa, yep, okay, I've got them out, I thought they were good, these things I've got to have them. That's why this lady paid 45 grand for 20 grand's worth of shutters. That's why another lady I know paid 20 for 8 grand's worth of roller shutters. Right? So that's the difference. It's the way we promote the product, and you are absolutely right. This whole market, and I perhaps didn't, state it clearly enough up front, it started on the wrong foot. In Europe, they don't sell them as security. Who's going to walk into a 2-story window off the street? They don't sell them that way.
It's the same as 5-star, 6-star, 7-star, 8-star rating, and this is how much more the next level up. No one shared that unless you had to read somewhere obscure, what, from 5 to 6 is an improvement of X% of energy efficiency. They're interesting, but that's just more. The average person, I don't know, with disrespect, that's just another cost. They don't understand how much less they may be using their heat or cool wind. Over top of the window. So in a way, it's the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
The industry hasn't we as an industry haven't got some of those messages out very well.
Correct, and I'd say that's probably very, very true for everything. And you wanted to ask a question, and Steve's giving me a hurry up. Oh, there's two more, quick.
Yeah. Have you had any records of how it performs in extreme bushfire event? Because aluminium, as you know, is a bit low melting point.
Yep.
Metal, extreme bushfire event, you like to rely on totally for protection of windows.
The extruded profile is 40 kilowatts worth of heat. Now, I haven't actually stood in front of 40 kilowatts worth of heat, so I'm not sure what it's like. I know that the test results and the test photos that I have seen, at the end of the 40 kilowatts worth of heat, the shutter was still operable. Okay? Well, it didn't look very pretty. It was a very interesting colour and scalded, etc., but it worked. So from that point of view, the main object of that is to stop the glass from shattering. And providing you can do that, then you stop that potential ember attack through a broken window. So that's, and look, at 40 kilowatts worth of heat, yes it does. Beyond that, nobody's tested it. None of the three manufacturers that sell this type of profile and the same characteristics have gone to the FSAT level to find out. Yes. Yep, 100% aluminium.
So I moved on down Osmond the day after the last major bushfire.
Yep.
The fire front came from the northwest up the hill, and all the aluminium frames and first broke down to Melbourne.
Yep.
There's extreme events in this.
Yeah, and I mean, what gauge was that aluminium? You know, you're right, absolutely. A 42mm profile will melt and end up on your veranda.
But just for general knowledge, I saw a guy on the other day, and he said in Queensland designed a bushfire-proof house. Absolutely brilliant. You put the mesh 1.5 meters, it hangs out under the awnings,
yep.
Comes down. If you can stop the ember attack, not on the house, not on the windows, but at the periphery of the house where the wind barriers are.
Yep.
You have the radiant heat, you have them getting underneath the house.
Correct. Yeah. Now, Nigel, you had a question?
Yeah, mine was related to being in a fire-prone area and extreme events and such. I was thinking, you know, on the polystyrene inside, those ones.
The polystyrene's not in the fire product.
Right.
That's the hollow extruded one that we talked about a little while ago. So there's no foam in that at all.
Right. Which one's the foam in?
Okay, so the foam is the 42mm one, which is, excuse me, Steve. Go. Come on. Go, baby. Go. Oh, okay. So they're foam filled, all right? So they're the 42mm, they're the ones that got perforations in the profile. They're the ones that are stock standard that I dare say the three people who got roller shutters have already got that. The extruded one is heavier. It's a 1.1 millimeter thick wall on either side, stands 36 millimeters high. So it's a very different profile in terms of that characteristic. Yep.
I'll just ask a quick question about how does it go with the fabric repair condition?
If you open it with perforations, no problems at all. Okay, so you can have it open, and again, you open it to where you want it to get the air to move and work as well as you want, which in turn means that product is now no longer a security product, because if it's partially open, it's very easy to put your fingers in underneath it and lift it to get in. But if you're not using it for that, and if that's not your primary purpose, then that's fine.
Paul, thank you. Cool. Excellent presentation. We publish a magazine called Sanctuary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we publish 2 magazines, and there's a renewal which I'll give you, and we also give away a free bottle of wine.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's white.
You don't have to tell the boss that.
I'm not going to tell him about that. He doesn't bring white, I do.
Very good.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Ozzy's going to give us a talk